OIE. We're having our second conversation this morning, and as promised, it's all about CEMO's preparation for the 2024 hurricane season. I want to say welcome to our three guests that we have here with us. Melony Dawson, she is the liaison officer for CEMO, as well as Ramon Menjivar. And he is the assistant city engineer with the Belize City Council. And no stranger here with us is Cattouse, and she is the councilor for the Sanitation and Maintenance area of the Belize City Council. Guys, thank you so much for joining us and welcome.
Welcome.
We got some reactions about the space, so welcome to OIE Escapes, we're calling it, yeah?
Good
morning. And good morning, Belize.
Sabrina, you could believe that June 1st is actually on Saturday.
Yeah.
We're only two days away from the start of the hurricane season.
Yes.
How has it been going in terms of preparing and planning for the hurricane season? 2 days away, but I would imagine you all have been preparing from way before.
Yes, well, for our part at the council, the CEMO unit, which I lead, we have been preparing from November finished. Last year, we start preparations in December, and those preparations began with, you guys have heard of our shelter inspection, which we did in January. Thereafter, we start meeting with our 15 subcommittees, because we have our subcommittees that basically execute their roles and responsibilities. Before, during, and after a storm, we update our plans. We meet with our stakeholders who are a core part of CEMO as well. We do capacity building trainings, such as emergency operations center training, shelter management trainings, basic first aid trainings. We have also did our EOC meetings, and this is like with the heads, the mayor, the city administrator, we discuss plans that we would want to have, in preparations in the event any disaster should come. We have meetings with NEMO, we work in coordination with NEMO as well. And just yesterday, actually, we did our official opening of the hurricane season by having our workshop under the team, creating a streamlined communication and a better working environment. And basically the objective was to get all the heads in the EOC to understand how to communicate. Because remember, with proper communication, we have effective coordination and decision making, basically.
All of this is a part of disaster risk management, and one of the things you'll notice in Belize is that Belize City specifically, there's a lot of areas that presents hazards and a great deal of risks when it comes to flooding, when it comes to infrastructure, and their vulnerability to strong winds, for example. Is this a part of your preparation, studying the areas that are most vulnerable and have some of the greater hazards in the event a disaster impacts us?
Yes, definitely. For Belize City, we do have to do our assessments within the city and to know what are the vulnerable areas, especially when it comes to flooding. So we do have in our plans, which area we should cater to in the event, there is any disaster or, crisis.
Right. So let's bring Kaya into the conversation. Kaya, you're working sanitation and maintenance. That's your responsibility in the council. Let's talk a bit about how you and your team go about preparing for the start of the hurricane season.
So the sanitation and maintenance department at the Belize City Council deals primarily with garbage, the digging of drains, sweeping and chipping of the streets. But in preparation for the hurricane season, our main focus is on the digging of the drains, which we started from December of last year. So as soon as the hurricane season was over in November, we got started in December in preparation for the upcoming year. We have been digging drains across the city, and we have a very long list, right, Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Of drains that have been dug, outlets that have been cleared. We know that Belize City is below or just about at sea level, so whenever it rains, water settles, and the rain need to stop before the water can subside. So to help alleviate that and have it run off quicker, we want to ensure that our drains are, well kept so that the water has somewhere to go.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the work being done on the drain. I don't know if Councilor Thompson works alongside you as well, but right now he's known as the drain councilor across Belize City because of the effort he does in cleaning the drains.
Nonetheless, still much appreciated.
Of course, I mean, clean drains.
It's definitely a collaborative effort, and when we have councillors, working hands-on like that, it definitely makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to get Mr. Menjivar in the conversation and speak to us about your role as city engineer, assistant city engineer, what your involvement looks like in preparing for the hurricane season.
Well, basically, my role as the assistant city engineer is to ensure that all the proper infrastructure maintenance is set in place. For instance, I'm going more back to what the councillor has explained, that the routine maintenance being done from last year, we got deeper than that. It is a process that we do routinely, but more to that, we do heavier infrastructure cleaning, which entails the dredging of the major outlets, which are the canals. Like I think it was about 3 years ago, we did the dredging of the Seaton Canal, the Southside Canal, the Holy Emmanuel Canal, which is now, the street has been named Barbara Harris, if you notice. And these are capital expenditure projects. So my role is to ensure that the whole system is properly maintained, and we have a continuous routine maintenance of the city drainage infrastructure.
Where do we stand currently with the pump station?
Presently, we're in good shape. It is 100% functional. If we understand the concept of it is to alleviate the flooding condition in the city, whereby whenever we have flooding, we activate the pumps and then the pump out the water into the sea so that the flooding is minimized.
So it's operational?
It's fully operational.
Do we anticipate that with these pump stations, should a hurricane or a major storm hit Belize causing flooding, that it would be a lot less significant than what took place with Hurricane Lisa?
Definitely. Definitely.
So I want to touch on a few topics that individuals preparing for the hurricane season would be concerned about. First of all, the disposal of certain types of debris. For example, people will start to cut their trees. There's certain appliances like a refrigerator or stove that one may need to get rid of just so that it doesn't become some sort of missile in the event there's strong winds, for example. So what's the advice for residents of Belize City right now as they think to clean up and clear up their area? This is one of those practices traditionally that takes place right before the start of the hurricane season. Any advice, any suggestions?
Well, basically, I would urge residents to do so. It is a mitigation, method when it comes to disaster management, and it causes less impact in the event we do have any hurricane or any disaster. I know at the council we do have certain days that these white garbage and other stuff, are picked up. I'm not sure if Councilor, would you want to stress on that, or?
So what we did last year was we embarked on a citywide campaign, and we had residents calling the council and saying, this is my address and we have XYZ, what day could we put it out, and we would advise them, and with that we would set a schedule and go across different areas of the city and pick up. We will do something similar to that this year. or we have been doing, I should say. Residents have been calling and asking to pick up garbage from certain areas, white garbage that is, because residential garbage is a different thing, you know. On the north side, it's Mondays and Thursdays for residential garbage, and on the south side, it's Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I believe. Yeah.
What is white garbage?
White garbage is what he just explained. Tree branches, old appliances, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So you have white garbage, residential garbage, and then you have, of course, corporate garbage, which is, I believe the Belize Waste Control charges a fee for the removal of corporate garbage. So if Channel 5 want to put out their garbage, they have to pay to take it away. Right?
That's all garbage you put up and for real.
All right. Well, I'm glad that we took a look at ways that we are preparing for the hurricane season. But what I'm interested to know is there any sort of challenges that we are still trying to overcome that may be faced if a hurricane or a major storm should hit Belize?
Yes. Well, since Hurricane Lisa, we did recognize the gaps, you know, since our response, you know. And since then, up until now, we're trying to fill those gaps, and one of them would be resources, having the right amount of resources, you know, to help our response to the residents within the city. But now, since having our meetings and we have a better standing with our stakeholders and other partners, you know, across the country, we have now established good grounds with them in the event we need more resources to facilitate, you know, any disaster or in the event we need to respond.
In this case, it would be human resources too.
Yes, definitely. And like I mentioned, we do have our 15 subcommittees, and one of them is the Relief and Supplies Subcommittee, and this committee is basically responsible for, you know, stocking the shelters and assisting anyone within the city or the country with supplies before and after a storm. So, like I said, with collaboration effort, we definitely are working towards our goal for, you know.
What are some of the bodies that CEMO collaborates with during times of natural disaster?
Okay, the main ones we have are the police department. We need them, you know, we need enforcement during disaster, especially at the shelters. We have the BDF, the Coast Guard. They're responsible for search and rescue. The Belize Red Cross, they help with humanitarian and relief supplies as well. UNICEF, they help a lot with capacity building efforts. We also have Yes, Ministry of Human Development, they are responsible again for relief and supplies effort. You know, NEMA, they are our standing grounds. We work partner, hands in hands with them, and basically I would say those are main. Ministry of Health as well. Yes, we need them.
When it comes to warning systems, let's talk a bit about what the warning systems look like for our residents to be prepared for.
Well, so far for Belize City, we do have our billboards stationed around in the city. Some of them did get damaged by Hurricane Lisa. However, we're trying to, you know, see how we could repair them. Yes, and those billboards have information such as, you know, the shelters, the flags, the assembly points in the event we need to evacuate. But one of the main resources, I would say, is our Facebook page. We disseminate so many information on our Facebook page, and we have been doing this for months now, you know, with preparedness tips, safety tips, you know, the hurricane flags, the hurricane names, and so forth. So residents can go on our Facebook page and get all of this information. It's accessible.
I think the reminder, though, to our viewers and persons who rely on information coming from social media platforms is to know which one to trust, because a lot of times during these cases, you tend to follow anything you hear, and all of a sudden, we're preparing for a Category 1, but we heard that there's a 5 coming instead, and it's just chaotic. So I appreciate you sharing with our viewers to get information from your page, but I want to remind our viewers to follow primarily these pages that are bringing accurate information. and try not to go on YouTube and listen to Mr. John from Arkansas reporting on what's taking place in Belize, because really.
Mr. Menjivar, flooding is an issue, and we talked about it earlier. Are there areas that what are those areas that should be more concerned or be on high alert? And when it comes to perhaps their infrastructure, the strength of the infrastructure in that area, whether it's housing, whether it's the makeshift bridges, or even the streets, and streets becoming flooded?
Well, the most vulnerable areas are the low-lying areas, like the Genosha area, where we have poor housing in that community. Areas in the Gungulung area, which again is a low-lying area with these type of structures that are not safe to withstand sometimes even a tropical storm.
And
Also, we have to add to that areas that are right in front of the sea, the southern foreshore,
Right.
Kings Park area, all those areas that where the Marianne Jones is, Westland Beaver, Buckwood Bay, all those areas that are right in front of the sea, because that's where the shoreline, that's where the water comes from.
and it's where you get these intense
Storm
wakes and
Correct.
storm
The
surges.
rig hit.
Yeah. Kaya, did Lisa teach us anything about how to better prepare for cleanup efforts following a major disaster? I commend the efforts that were undertaken after Lisa, but what did we learn about how to better prepare for something like that?
I think after Lisa, the Belize City Council did an exceptional job in cleaning. We collaborated with all the organizations that we could, and we got all hands on deck immediately. We were told that the cleanup effort would take somewhere between 6 to 10 months, and we had it done in about 3. I mean, it was just getting on the ground and doing what needs to be done. After a hurricane, what you need to do is assess the damage that has been done, and you need to do it right away. And that will tell you what you need, who you need, and you need to get started right away. So preparing for the cleanup after a hurricane, I think we have the blueprint. And after what the city saw after Lisa, I think we're in a very good place moving forward into this hurricane season.
You're going to say
Yes,
something?
it was actually record-breaking with our cleanup, our vast cleanup that we had after Hurricane Lisa. I mean, we collected 63 tons, of garbage, and the efforts, the collaboration. I mean, once you have, like Councilor said, the efforts from other stakeholders, it can be done.
Yeah.
Any advice for individuals that may at some point have to seek shelter?
Yes. Well, at this point right now, like I mentioned, we did our shelter inspections. We are now awaiting the official publishing of the shelter listing by NEMO, because remember,
Yes.
the HQ needs to publish the official listing. So whenever they do, hopefully it's by tomorrow or on Saturday, this information will be shared. If individuals or residents, if you live in a vulnerable area, be sure to look out for the listing, the hurricane, the shelter listing, to know which shelter is close to you. And in the event you need to seek shelter, make sure that you have, your bags packed. It could be a small bags, make sure that they have their their hurricane essentials, like their chicken sausage, their soda biscuits and stuff like that. Like I always say, if you go to the grocery store every 2 weeks, pick up, 2 cans of something. It doesn't have to be a vast amount of groceries, Every time you go to buy groceries, pick up a small, item. And that would eventually add up until, we reach a hurricane season.
Absolutely. As we wind down, I'll give you guys the opportunity to share your final thoughts.
Well, I don't mind going first. For me,
that's okay.
you guys raised a very, very great statement to listen to the most official information when it comes to, information about hurricanes or any storm in particular, listen to the Met Service and NEMO.
We definitely want to reach out to residents and ask them to do their part, you know, to ensure that they are safe. As it relates to the limbing of the trees, you know, things that may be used as missile when the winds pick up in a hurricane in your yard, you know, things that water will settle in and create hazards, mosquitoes, that type of thing for the aftermath. And also as residents to, like Ms. Mel said, look out for the listing, find the shelter that is closest to you. In the event you know you may need to go to a shelter, you know, be kind to the people. You're not at home, you're not in your own space, you know, you're sharing a space with people, so be mindful of that.
Yes.
So Menjivar, any final thoughts?
Basically, I want to urge our residents to be very thoughtful and mindful of how they dispose their garbage. Often you see garbage in the drains.
Yeah.
You have refuges in the canals, mattresses, and these are some minor things that could be alleviated by just a phone call. You know, give us a call and we can pick those up rather than dumping those items in the canal, which in the long term, if we have any event, then those become a dam to the water flow and outlets, which will eventually affect the same residents.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Well, guys, thank you so much for, you had...
Yeah, I was going to say, sorry, just to add on to that, an area that we clean up the Belize City Council on a weekly basis is the North Creek Canal. Am I correct, Mr. Menjivar?
Right.
We are there twice a month to clean that North Creek Canal, and it is just accumulated garbage from what residents in the area throw into the canal. Right? Dispose of your garbage properly. We have on the south side garbage disposal or garbage pickup from the Belize Waste Control every Tuesday and Wednesday. Put it outside. The garbage truck will cart it away for free. Right? When we throw it into the canals, like Mr. Menjivar said, it creates a dam and it does not assist with the smooth flow of water, especially in cases of natural disasters.
Well, guys, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing with us the update on your side, what's taking place, and of course, how you guys are preparing for the hurricane season and what we should be doing as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, too.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, the conversation switches into what causes a brain tumor. Find out when we come back.